Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining the Uniform Services and Transportation Committee meeting. It is Thursday, May 1st, 2025. I'm gonna call the meeting to attention at 6:42 p.m. We're still waiting for one more committee member to make quorum at this time. So we can't adopt any of the agenda or the minutes as of yet. I do see there's a typo on the agenda. Yeah, no, it's okay. April stepped up while I was out sick, and she was able to put together the agenda for today. So we just Jess Baser, she was here last month. Just take that off of the.
Oh, yeah, I think that should actually be Jen.
It is Jen.
Yeah.
Yes, I made a typo from last time. I think it just stayed there. So I don't think Officer Cardenas is joining us. So Officer Stumer and Captain Rose, the floor is yours.
But have we adopted the agenda or we can't, right?
We can't do that.
Okay.
From us.
Something to add to the agenda. I don't know whenever I'm supposed to.
Yeah, when we have someone, Vanessa, we know is on her way.
Okay.
So she should be here shortly, and I think Felipe is going to be here. Michael is in getting ready for finals.
Yeah. Good. Awesome.
Okay, so yeah, the floor is yours, gentlemen.
Yeah, so as always, thank you for having us. We appreciate it, all the support. Not really much on the crime front, which is a good thing for us. We continue in the right direction. All indicators are trending down with no real alarming trends or patterns that other than that we continue to fight. The majority of our resources are thrown on our late platoon to fight auto related deaths, which we seem to have been really successful in driving down over the last month or so. Also, we've been working very closely with the MTA DOT Parks Department over at 136, 137 Broadway, the construction site there. As of a few hours ago, we've come to an amicable agreement to start making some of the fencing there a little more transparent, which makes our line of sight and enforcement a little bit easier. And also increasing the passageway between the Uptown 1 line exit and the parking line. By doing that, they're going to increase the amount of space between the park benches, the park wall, and the actual temporary construction wall to make the passage a little easier for people coming out of the train. This morning, we met with the Parks Department there. We did a top to bottom cleanup of Mount Fair Square Park. And the last piece of that puzzle is going to be the graffiti removal. Steps. We have facilitated getting that cleaned up. So yeah, ready to head into the summer months. We appreciate everything. If anybody has any specific questions, I can answer them or try my best to answer them.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Ted.
Yeah, you mentioned about the auto crimes. Are there any specific makes, models, etc., that are at this point being targeted?
Yes, I appreciate you asking that question. It's a good one. Newer model Hondas, Acuras, and Toyotas are the main vehicles that we're seeing either stolen or having the parts stolen from. So if anybody needs any tips on how to secure those types of vehicles in particular, or what's being taken or how they're being taken, they could reach out to us directly. My crime prevention officer would be happy to provide specific tips on how to secure those particular vehicles against those types of thefts. But thank you.
I have to tell you that the biggest problem is up in Montreal, where the Toyotas and other fancy cars are being ripped off, and if you don't catch them within 15 minutes, they're on a ship to South Africa.
Well, my northern border is 155th Street.
Well done. Yes.
So the scooters and bikes and motorcycles have the Marauders upticking. You see more.
Say it again.
You see more groups of the organized bike riders.
Yeah, scooters, mopeds, e-bikes is the main focus of the Chief of Transportation's office within the NYPD. Now there's gonna be a major surge coming the next couple of weeks to kind of combat that. Same as we've done in the past, we see a lot of success. Every weekend, in coordination with the patrol borough and the precinct, we put together like what we would consider like a ride out detail to basically address those types of scenarios. We see it happened very quickly. The warm weather came upon us very quickly. But just know that effective this weekend, that'll be in place again. So we're aware of it and we'll take it from that.
Is the policy still not to chase?
Yes, the policy, the NYPD policy is only to pursue vehicles for violent crimes. Yes.
Two questions actually, one you just made me think of. Have you guys, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, but the department announced 18 months, 24 months ago, the adoption of like little GPSs that you can shoot off the front of your cruiser that actually go on a stolen car, so you don't have to pursue them.
Yeah.
Basically like shooting in your back. Yes, thank you. Are you guys using that?
So one of our city units have it. It's
Okay.
not on every patrol car.
Right, I mean, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's limited to certain specialized enforcement vehicles, but yes, we do have that. And that works very well in coordination with our aviation unit. So basically, like the movies, right, like Batman, or however you want to be, it shoots out a dart. It sticks to the vehicle, it basically plants like a GPS device, and then we're able to track it safely from overhead rather than having a vehicle pursuing on the street. Yeah, no, it's great.
So my question was, and I've been a long day, I'm trying to find this, but the gentleman was killed in the precincts. He was riding a bicycle and got hit by the minivan driver, and I'm just wondering if we have an update on that.
You're talking about up on 155th Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was an arrest made on that. That person was apprehended.
I mean,
Yep.
So quick, yeah, last one. So I'm also on the 125th Street board. CO Wilkinson actually convened an emergency meeting this week with the commercial businesses. There's been a significant uptick of young people going into the commercial businesses and intimidating and terrorizing customers, and also property damage. And they're reporting 2 incidents late last week and this week. Or is there anything similar in this area?
What, just remind me, I'm sorry, I missed the first part. We said it's 125th Street?
Yeah, 125th.
He's on the business improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't speak specifically to 120.
No, I mean, in this area, are we seeing
So
something
anything
similar?
like that?
Yeah.
No, I mean, we don't really have what we would consider like a youth crime problem here. Probably predominant, well, what I would say that is driven by is we don't have any major high schools.
Got it.
Our schools don't really lend themselves to having kids of teenagers kind of lingering around during dismissal, anything like that. So no, I don't see any problem with youth crime in 3-0.
Is that Target? Is that the issue?
Yeah, Target, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
it's all of them. They'll go into a 7-Eleven and just knock all the stuff off the shelves and just be little assholes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I had your first question was about the ATVs and dirt bikes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for answering that. Is there any update on Broadway Billiards or lawnmower?
Yeah, so actually, without giving too much information out in a public forum like this, we did a successful operation today. We are, for lack of a better term, we are going to hit them very hard. I don't wanna elaborate on, we're using undercovers and things like that, so I don't want to get specifics into the operation. But we are doing, controlled, underage type operation, sale, things like that. Not just at billiards, but at other places that we find to be problematic. Basically, to put it in a nutshell, we're going back to the enforcement that we used to do in terms of trying to get a nuisance abatement and getting them, shut down. It's
Okay.
not an overnight process, it's something that we have to do it incrementally in steps, but as of today, we've started that process.
That's great. I know,
It's the first successful operation today.
that's fabulous. Thank you all so much. I know we've talked at length about that issue in this forum and at general board as well. We were going to review a resolution to this evening about that specific location, but, it's great that y'all are making.
It's gonna be, you're gonna have to just give me a little bit of time on it. To address chronic 311 conditions within the precinct. The police commissioner has been very generous in allowing us to use personnel to specifically address 311 complaints. I'm sure you heard the public address about the quality of life teams. We're not there yet with the quality of life team in the 30th precinct, but we have been assigned specific resources to address 311 complaints. So I think we should see a very good increase in our a very good increase in, what's the best way to say this? I guess I'm just actually addressing the 311 complaint.
Resource availability.
Yeah, right, yeah, having the resources. It's very difficult with patrol sectors answering 911 jobs to try and actually handle a 311 job the way that it should be handled. What this does is it gives us resources back in our pocket specifically to handle those 311 complaints and have cars still running, answering the 911 job. So I think it's gonna be.
Is this in addition, because I remember, I think at the beginning of the year, you guys had gotten some extra,
Yes,
patrol
this
officers.
is totally separate from that.
Okay,
This is just specifically to address 311 complaints in the precinct.
and the officers that you did get allocated, but then got redistributed to the transit.
I don't want to speak too soon, but they should be coming back to us within a week.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't want to put a time frame on it because I don't want to be told on Mondays or Monday. As personnel numbers sort out, we should be getting them back to us. If not all of them, a good chunk of them, and we should have that sustained presence back out there.
Okay.
So just us, so in the historic district, between 141st and 145th, between Absett and Convent. There's an uptick in the number of parked cars without license plates.
So what I've done, we're getting to it, we're working on it. I have officers starting at 4 o'clock in the morning now, my traffic team, myself, a couple of other officers for about the last 20 days, we've been starting at 4 o'clock in the morning. We're going out there specifically to address vehicle-related crimes.
Right.
In that, we're giving parking enforcement to fire hydrants, vehicles without license plates. This morning, we came across a vehicle that was double parked, left abandoned in the middle of the road. You know, we call a tow truck for that. So we're focused on it. It's one of those things where we can only do 1, 2 at a time.
Right.
The availability of tow trucks is limited. So we're doing the work, we're out there, we're focused on it. So we understand the concern. The issue with the license plates in that particular area, just so you know, if you want to like spread the word, is those license plates are getting stolen off the cars.
Oh, no.
It's not that people, specifically where you're talking about, it's not that people are parking cars without license plates trying to evade getting a ticket. We do see that, but not particularly right there. What's happening right there is that people are stealing license plates off the cars. And not to get into too much of an investigation there, we are making very good headway on the crew that's doing that too, because they're basically taking license plates off of those cars, put them on others sitting in their front. So we're working very closely with auto crime. We have that auto larceny deployment out there, but yeah, that's we're.
Why do you think that specific area is being targeted? Just because it's residential?
Yeah, it's quiet. There's not, the lighting is not as substantial as it would be in other places. It's not an area that, and I'll say this just because I look at the deployment very closely, it's not an area that's heavily patrolled. And now it is, because we've kind of shifted our deployment away from other things to focus on that. But prior to that, it's an area that wasn't heavily patrolled. It's not the Broadway corridor, it's not Riverside where we historically see these types of things. So it's just a matter of reshifting the deployment, which we have. And I'm sure, you know, if you're up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, you're gonna see the cars out there.
Okay, well, I'm gonna wake you up.
It's so sad, I'm like, I bet you they're stealing the car, like, plates off the, like, the folks that are Lady Lords and stuff, why is awful?
Do you have any update on the like the thefts that go on at like the Dwayne Reed's, the local pharmacies.
Let's speak about.
Yeah, so I have a very good relationship with CVS and their loss prevention organized crime units. They met with the district attorney's office, CVS, and they have a program called a trespass affidavit program, where basically, you know, the majority of the people that steal from CVS, maybe, are people that do it repeat like multiple times. And they actually have a trespass notice now where these people who are doing it over and over again, CVS will trespass them, which means that those people, if they enter that store, they're automatically subject to arrest because they know they don't belong in that store because of the repeated use. So they give me a nice list of people who they've seen as their repeat offenders, and we're working together with them just to make sure that the people we are going after there are the people who are constantly and repeatedly targeting those locations.
So the DA's office also presented to the bid, the trespass program about 2
Yeah.
weeks ago. It's something that I think could also be applied to McDonald's because it's key for the business to identify the person and label them as persona non grata. And they could do that to a lot of the homeless that hang out. And that would make it
Yeah,
just a
that-
bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The trespass thing is not necessarily business specific.
Right.
It really any business could do it.
Just because somebody's homeless doesn't mean that they're committing
Well,
crimes.
no, so the problem is in McDonald's.
I know there's a lot.
They
No,
have
I was gonna say
they
that-
have loitering.
Yeah, I think that the trespass affidavit program is good because and not to get into a whole,
Right.
political or whatever you want to say, but it makes sure that we're focused on the right people.
On the problem.
Right.
Listen, if somebody's going to Dwayne Reed and they're stealing because they don't have money to steal and they have to feed their family, that's one thing. But somebody that's stealing repetitively to go sell it on the street, that's something else. And those are the people that we're looking to go after. And that trespass affidavit program allows us to identify them in coordination with the DA's office to make sure that that prosecution goes where it needs to go.
Right.
In terms of loitering at McDonald's, I mean, that's another issue too, but that's different than I think actual stealing property from.
Well, according to the DA, they can use it as trespassing, but it's key for McDonald's to say to the person, you're not welcome here. And they have to read that little paragraph and then fill out the form. And if they return, then they're considered trespassing. So the way they laid it out, it's kind of brilliant. And then it's up to the DA and the courts to decide if it's recidivist and what the course of action would be. So it's just something to think about.
Yeah, thank you.
The other question I have is the vending that's happening along the board, like the edge of Montefiore Park.
But yeah, I know just like last year, we're there. We've made multiple arrests in the last few weeks. My teams are doing operations in the morning, they're doing operations in the afternoon. We were there again this morning. It's an ongoing battle, for lack of a better term. We do this dance between First Amendment type articles that are being sold, and we don't want to mess with those people. And then we have the people that are selling, obviously, stolen merchandise. Those we issue summonses to for unlicensed general vending, and we take their property. We take the property that they were using as a proceeds for sale and voucher it as arrest evidence, and they don't get it back. But
that doesn't necessarily stop them from.
it does not stop them from doing it again. Most of the time they're getting summons and they're going about their business. Very few instances are we putting that person through the criminal justice system, and very few instances are they being actually charged with a crime. The unlicensed general vending is considered a violation. It's a summons and they go to court down the road. What's gonna end up happening is, when the construction comes down, right, it'll give us a little bit better line of sight. If you noticed last year, we didn't really have that much of a problem on our side, right? Because we had that line of sight, the instructions of my cops basically don't drive past there without taking enforcement action against if you see somebody with the problem laid out. Now it becomes a little more difficult because we have the hurdle of the temporary construction. But like I said, we're there, we're doing what we have to do. The operation we did with the Parks Department this morning is very important. We noticed that the park was looking a little
Oh, yeah.
dirty,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term. We sounded the alarm, we called the Parks Department, they came heavy with their enforcement component, they cleaned it up. I'm a firm believer that if the park looks like a space that's inviting for garbage, it's going to attract garbage. If it looks like a place that everybody would like to spend their time and bring their kids and things like that, then it's gonna be treated like that.
Right.
We will not let people just set up there and let it get out of hand. We're on it, we're doing the work, and we're gonna continue to do that. Like I said, we get the sustained foot presence back there in a week or so, hopefully, and that should help with that, kind of, on a more routine
Could be
basis.
like a deterrent.
Yeah.
Just, were you thinking of this 138th Street between Broadway and Amsterdam?
No, right along Broadway.
That's a different issue.
Yeah, that issue's kind of out of control,
It is.
just as a comment.
Yeah. That's something that we've been trying to push, getting the, the community to back, like an open air type market. Similar to like what you see up in Washington Heights or out in Brooklyn, like in Greenpoint. Like a flea market, where that would actually facilitate giving vendors the opportunity to have a legitimate license and make money. Right, and I said this before, I think I said it at the general board meeting, it's very easy to get a street fair permit. To sell your products at a street fair, it's not very easy to get a consumer fair's license for a general vendor's permit. So if you were to make this an open air market type setting, people could get a street fair permit and they could sell their products legally. They could make some money if that's what they're trying to do. Also, it helps to regulate people that don't have that license. Now we can take enforcement action against them, right? So that people that do have the license can make their money, and people that don't, we can actually take enforcement action. So, I support that. I think it's a good idea. But we just haven't really had the ball rolling on that yet.
You've been talking to the Park Association on that? The Montefiore Park Association or who?
No, not in particular. I think it came up at the community board meeting.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I think that's like a community board,
Yeah, that.
elected official kind of
Yeah.
issue.
I'm not at Park.
I just want to touch on something that you said that I think is really important. Like, I love the fact that you guys identified the problem and then called the Parks Department enforcement. I think one of the things that's frustrating as a citizen is like, we see these problems and yet you see sanitation go by and not do anything, and the cops go by and not doing anything, or parks, and it's like,
Right.
well, if they all don't care, what is me calling you guys to report it gonna do? So I think, like, I just want to
Yeah.
thank you for that. I think that goes a long way, and obviously it's more effective when it comes
Yeah,
agency to agency, but I think other people see that when it's not like, you step over the same problem
Yeah.
25 times before on the 26th time, you're like, all right, I'm gonna call somebody and try and do something about this.
yeah.
So it's nice that it doesn't have to get to that point before, action is taken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no problem.
I just had one more thing. I don't think I need to reiterate the issues with the double parking, triple parking that's going on in the area. Specifically, 134th Street, the auto body shop there.
I'll talk to you after.
Okay,
That's part of this model. I'll talk to you.
stop.
We're making good.
Okay.
I know. I have an observation on double parking though, that I think is interesting, and I've noticed it since congestion pricing started. Is that there's actually more available curb space to pull over. But the vehicles are still behaving like it's not, like the number of times I see cars that are double parked next to an empty curb spot that they could have pulled in, it's like they're still acting like there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, I think the fear is getting blocked in.
Yeah, get over yourself. Yeah, I have serious, like, so many of our congestion, safety, and transit problems would be minimized if we have less double parking, but double parking is just like an accepted, it's okay. If I put on my flashers, it's totally fine.
I will say though, sanitation with their installation of their the new boxes in the upper streets. It has removed a lot of abandoned cars that we saw in the area, so that was
Yeah, they've been very helpful with that.
a nice addition.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
The issue with the double parking and the blocking of hydrants out on 149th. I know you spoke to the mosque about it. I know you guys did some.
I gave him a ticket. I personally gave him a ticket at 4:30 in the morning. I was out there. I could play the tape for it if you want. But
No,
yeah, this is like, I'm not joking.
You gave me the update. I just want to make sure that we stay on top of it.
Yeah, we will. We're not forgetting about it. It's.
I know we were giving being a bit lenient because it was,
Yeah,
you know, that.
no, listen, I told them multiple times and they weren't happy that I gave them the summons, but I had to tell them. I'm very, very, very concerned with the safety issue of blocking the hydrants.
Yeah.
We're not gonna play around with that. Double parking, like you said, becomes this cultural thing, it's accepted, whatever, but blocking the hydrants, making areas inaccessible to emergency vehicles is definitely not gonna be tolerated.
Yeah, because we've been noticing the double parking happening at either the end of the street or at the beginning of the
Yeah.
street, which makes it hard for bigger vehicles like emergency vehicles
Right.
to turn or
Yeah.
get through.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as, I just want to make sure you guys are on
Yes,
top of
sir.
that. Okay, is there anything else?
No, you guys crushed it today.
Yeah, you're killing it. Thank you for coming.
Great that 26 precinct, I mean,
That's not the. We've. It's not a competition.
Tell your colleagues in the 26.
I know. I tell them all the time.
Okay, we'll make it work.
She's on
Right?
the,
I've been trying to
she's
shoot
on the
you.
26th to of the council.
I'm like,
Oh.
to Rose all the time. Where you at?
I can't get Tavares to answer an email. Just saying.
Just call them out by name and you're through
I
to
have a
look.
good-
They
I
have
have a
all your
good,
business.
I have a good boss that keeps.
Well, thank y'all so
Well,
much.
thank you very much.
Yeah, Solomon, I'll talk to you about.
Yeah, just, you can call me later.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we do have quorum now since, Felipe and Nessa are here, so I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:08.
My apologies, I would have been here earlier had the cherry walk been open. I was coming from downtown, had to take a detour, but
It would have been faster for me to bike here than take the subway, same reason, but I took the subway instead, because that detour is such a nightmare. I know this isn't parks, but
Yeah.
Chris, you got an update on that, your parks, aren't you?
No, used to be, I can take it to part
No, but I thought we were supposed to get an update, we're supposed to open at the end of March.
on the cherry walk?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to end up, we're
Yeah.
supposed to open,
It's paved and everything,
ideally
yeah,
at the beginning, end of spring.
I forget why, there was a delay, I forget why, Heather's actually on, I don't know if Heather has an update. Here's Heather?
Did you see the other detour from
Is Heather on?
yeah.
behind the tennis courts?
So can we have any business item? I think,
Yeah, so let's look at the agenda.
right.
You said you wanted to add something?
Oh, yeah, we can try to do business or whatever.
Okay. So what did you want to add?
Just community board moving violations, just take a look at it.
Moving violations?
Yeah. Oh, it's a handout.
And another one would be the SLA process.
Excellent.
So you making a motion to amend the agenda? Or accept
Under new
the,
business.
adopt the amended agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, so we will add both, well, the SLA process is kind of been, it's not new, but.
We have that handout, right? Yeah.
All right, let's move to, I think it may be easier to just go through the. You think we should do dining out, or should we talk about the sidewalk stuff?
Oh, we can first?
Yeah.
Oh, whatever, you prefer. That doesn't matter to me, and then we'll get to it.
Okay, all right, so we received some, oh wait, I skipped PSA.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry.
and Lyle's on here.
Yeah, Lyle's on. Okay, sorry, we're still on updates. So, PSA 6, Officer Wilborn or Etienne, are you on?
Greetings, Officer Wilborn is here. Hi, everyone. I have the numbers for the 28-day period. Officer Etienne is now on vacation. Okay, so for the 28-day period, we had one homicide in Manhattanville houses. To my knowledge, there was an argument between two individuals that escalated into gun violence. One male was shot and there were two arrests made in that homicide, and that happened in Manhattanville houses. We took 3 robberies, 2 in Grant houses. One of them was domestic, so we won't speak on that one. The other robbery took place in Manhattanville. So what seems to have happened was a 16-year-old male had his phone forcibly removed by an unknown perpetrator, and he did display a weapon. The young man was not hurt, but he did get a laceration to the lower part of his body. The next robbery that we had took place in Manhattanville. A young man was going on his way to work, coming down the staircase, and his wallet was removed also by an unknown object that was placed to the side of his head. Those are the robberies. We had one assault in Manhattanville, DV related, one burglary in Manhattanville to the storage facility in the NYCHA area. We had 3 grand larcenies in grant houses and one in Manhattanville, domestic related. So as far as the grand larcenies are concerned, besides DB1, there's people that are letting individuals into their residence, into their homes, and then their items are ending up missing. So we urge people to know who they're allowing into their apartments so that these things don't happen. Also, yesterday I went to an event in Manhattanville that I thought was quite amazing. So what they've been doing is Resident Appreciation Day, where they have food trucks come. So there were 2 food trucks, 1 ice cream truck. It was awesome to see the kids be able to just run around and play and, you know, have ice cream on a hot day. And those are the numbers for the 28-day period. I did get promoted this past week, so I'm super excited for the work that we're doing in our Harlem communities, and thank you guys for having us. And that's all I got.
Well, congratulations, Camilla.
Yeah, congrats.
So now it's active Wilborn, huh?
Yes,
Oh, nice.
That's great.
thank you so much.
This is timing out.
Yeah, it did time out. All right, so thank you so much. So, Lyle, you are next.
Evening, everyone. Rob Blacker from DOT. I don't have much this month, just one item, and it's in regards to Million resurfacing. Our crews are still in Northern Manhattan as well as on the Upper East Side and the Lower East Side downtown. Next week we will continue to be in Northern Manhattan on Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard, between 135th and 145th Streets. On Frederick Douglass between 125th and 135th. On West 128th Street between Frederick Douglass and St. Nicholas Avenue, and on the east side on 3rd Avenue between East 107th and 116th Streets. We should remain in Northern Manhattan, if I'm not mistaken, for another week or 2. But as long as we're uptown, obviously, you know, this is weekly to this CB's I cover about where our crews will be and when. That's it for me pretty much this month. Unless you have anything for me.
How did your jury duty go? Are you still on it?
No. It was a lengthy trial, but it's over now. One of these days I'll tell you the story. It's actually pretty interesting, but no, it's over.
James is in front of some cops, by the way. I had a question, Lyle, about the 141st Street right outside of Hamilton Grange.
Mhm.
Felipe and I were out there weeks ago, and it would be great if we could get maybe you and the DOT team out to possibly discuss a crosswalk there.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
From Hamilton Terrace to
Yes.
the Grange, yeah.
it needs to be striped.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that possible?
Yeah, if you want to set up, we can set up a site visit, or if you want to send a request, you can send me an email. If you are requesting a crosswalk, and I can try to create a case on your behalf to see if our design construction division can go over there to determine the feasibility. But yeah, we can have a conversation offline if need be, no problem.
Awesome.
Hey, Lyle, Chris, quick question. Do you know the temporary vestibules that some businesses add during the winter? They extend onto the sidewalk? Who regulates those?
For outdoor dining or
Excuse me?
for outdoor dining,
You're talking about
Yeah, it's those temporary, sometimes they're made out of cloth.
The plastic wind cover thing?
right,
Yeah.
it's a vestibule-ish kind of thing,
Hmm,
but we still have them. And they're on the sidewalk,
And they block them.
and they block the sidewalk.
Is there,
um, hmm.
144th in Amsterdam.
Which business?
It's the business that has many different names.
Oh, 144,
Yeah,
what's one of the names?
yeah, they've changed the name several times within the last year.
Okay.
Take a look at 144th. They're using, and on top of it, they're using the area for storage.
Sure.
But is that a consumer affairs DO? Who
Yeah, I was gonna
regulates?
say it might be Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. If you had a picture of the area, maybe you kind of figure out exactly which agency might be the one to best handle it. Is it on the east side of Amsterdam or on the west side of Amsterdam?
On the east side.
Oh, you're talking about where the Ecuadorian restaurant is and stuff?
What?
The Ecuadorian restaurant?
They also have it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, the Mexican.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they need to remove it also. Two restaurants.
Cause I thought all of that stuff was supposed to be, that was okay during the pandemic, but now
Needs to
it's a
come down.
regulation.
No, that, it has nothing to do with the pandemic, it's winter, right? It's like a secondary door. So that when their main door opens up, cold air doesn't go in, so it creates that vestibule. So I think it's seasonal, I believe it's Department of Consumer Affairs, but DOT can get involved if it's like actually blocking part of the sidewalk. But that honestly, it may be an interesting one to put in through 311 and see how it gets routed, to see which agencies it gets assigned to. Probably you guys.
Everything goes.
Yeah, I would say probably the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection might be the best first avenue as far as agencies to reach out to. I don't know if this would be under DOT's jurisdiction. It might be if it's a sidewalk obstruction, but I would start with DCWP first and see what they tell you. But if you want to send that picture, I can try to do some research on my end too.
Okay, we'll do. Thank you.
They're fast in consumer affairs is fast,
Right.
like 36 hours.
Lyle, I know, if you remember Jen Bessier was here from, Harlem One Stop about the different lighting issues
Mhm.
that she brought up on Amsterdam Avenue. Were you able to touch base with her at all to get some of those things, resolved? I know she had tickets that had been closed out and no action was really taken on them.
I haven't seen anything on my end as far as follow-ups. I can try to say, I know that we've been doing a little bit of work in Amsterdam, as far as lighting surveys. I don't have any new updates, but if she has those locations again, or if you have those specific locations again, I can check to see if there are any updates, in particular. But nothing new from our last meeting.
Was it from like 143rd to like 144th, 145th?
Yeah.
Okay, so about a year ago, I brought up the same issue, Lyle, and you actually sent someone out. So there's also some technical issue, starting power. So this is the second or third request that's coming through now. It's the lighting that's in front of Johnny Hartman Park.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So across the street from the place we just, okay, gotcha.
Right,
Those lights are still out? Okay.
yeah, we've talked, yeah. The guys have come out, it's a bunch of issues.
Yeah, because we had sent somebody out there a little while ago. But if those lights are still an issue, we can send somebody out there to follow up to see what's going on. In some instances, there might be some foundational work that I might have to do on their end, and there might be stuff that we're waiting for. But if it's essentially the area adjacent to Johnny Hartman Plaza, I can check to see if we have any updates on that. And if not, then see if we can get somebody over there in order to see what they can do for us.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
Anything else for Lyle from anyone? Yes, go on.
The road on Convent Avenue, between 145th and 144th has been chewed up through many, I don't know, projects around that area. So there's a big, getting bigger hole on right on 140 north going south.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so if you're going on a bike, you have to like curve and get around it, and then the cars are going really fast. And Felipe was talking about how that should be a one-way street because the road narrows up to
yeah.
145th. And so you have the cars parked on one side, and then you have the big cars coming this way, and you have the other cars going that way. And then there is growth on 143rd and 144th. There are these like very nice houses that have their gardens and their trees right outside, and the branches grow into the street. And if you're biking, it hits you straight up because, you know, things are getting greener now. I think Barry talked about how one time we had somebody who did a lot of landscaping in that area, and he's no longer, I don't know what happened to
Is
him.
that Parks or DOT?
It's a street tree.
But the street and the growth. A little bit of an issue,
Okay, I'll bring that up.
mostly the potholes.
But yeah, there are some potholes on where, Juan was talking about on Convent. Lyle, are y'all milling and paving over there?
I don't know if we're gonna be in that area, but we can send somebody over there to address the potholes independent of the million resurfacing that we're doing now. So, it's on Convent between 144th, 145th, just making sure.
Yeah, where there used to be a bus stop for the M18.
Okay,
It's a different kind of pavement.
Oh, it has a concrete pad.
A
It's
concrete
a-
pad for the
yeah.
bus stop.
oh, so it's a bus pad, okay, so it's a bus pad issue, all right, gotcha.
There's even one pothole like right on, like off of a pedestrian ramp, I think off the sidewalk too. So yeah, if y'all could look at that, it'd be great.
All right, so it's potholes, the bus pad, and the pedestrian ramp, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure, go on, yesterday.
Just keep in mind, they're also doing the ADA corners right now in the area.
Oh, yeah.
okay. And just to verify, that's on the southbound side, you said on Convent?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so yeah, a couple of different divisions, then DOT would handle each of these, but I can put this on the radar as far as addressing each individual issue, no problem. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Lyle.
no problem.
Oh, yeah, this is the office meeting, or do you want to address the signing out or the SLA application right there?
Yeah.
Have jurisdiction.
Yeah, sure. I did wanna. Yeah, let's bring up the dining out application. So, Lyle, we started getting these dining out applications come to the community board. And, you know, the direction that we've been given with regards to them is, I guess there's a initial application that the establishments fill out. And, we got some guidance from CB4 in terms of trying to get, you know, ask for additional information, feedback, input about the establishment. There is April sent out an email to the committee regarding this is like the application template. I just want can we pass one to Juan? Please? Okay. So the application is, you know, it's pretty long. It's kind of a questionnaire. What we would do when we get these applications is we would send whoever submits the application, we would send them this questionnaire to answer the questions regarding their establishment, and then we would put that together with the dining out application. We also want to use this for liquor licenses as well, because it kind of falls, you know, when it comes to these establishments, it can kind of be applied to both. It's pretty lengthy right now. Like I said, it's about 12 pages. We can trim it. This is what CB4 uses. We don't have to use what CB4 uses, but we need to come up with something as a committee. So this is something that we wanna, if you think we should use it all, we can. But
Is there a fee with these applications?
that I don't know. Do you know, Lyle, if the establishments pay a fee for the dining out? For
I'm not, I'm not sure about the updated requirements on the top of my head. I think that the new requirements for dining out do come with increased fees.
Alright.
I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but I think that there are additional fees that do accrue now under the new dining out program.
My point is this, like, why do we have to come up with the application and there?
Well, there is a standard dining out application. What this is really a questionnaire that would be sent from our district office to the establishment, asking them for more information about, you know, what their intention is to
Isn't
use.
that on the application? Why don't we just take a look at the application?
It is that the application from DOT is a little different. We can go through one. Do you have one that?
Yeah, but do we want to go to, I don't know, I was just speaking with, yeah, I want to talk about the as a way application.
Okay.
I'm sure we want to do this later or.
Yeah, we can do that if you want.
We can just push it out as a package and let everyone review it and then come back to discuss it.
Yeah,
Do you have time? Yeah.
yeah, we can do that. Yeah, so, are we in agreement to kind of give you guys some time to review this and then let's talk about SLA
Yeah.
applications?
Yeah,
Okay.
and my general thought on this, like, if it's another set of hurdles, especially if a lot of it is duplicated.
Yeah.
Like, I wanna get all the information, and obviously, like, if we're gonna ask this information of everybody who applies, I'd rather give it to them on the front end. But I kind of agree with Felipe that it feels, much of this feels redundant, like another hurdle for them to have to do. And if there was any way for us to either just say like. Maybe there's what is the word, not annex, addendum to like their application. That just had, like, that doesn't duplicate all the information that's on their actual application, I feel like that would be. Maybe, but we can talk about it, that's just sort of my,
Okay. Yeah, I
I don't hate it, I don't not hate
We can
it.
talk about the application itself in June, but right now we have these two dining out applications that we
Yeah.
have to discuss, right? So-
Right, we have 40 days, we got them not too long ago, we have about 40 days to respond to it, so.
Does everyone have the application?
She sent the link out, it's in the Google Drive,
Yeah.
It's up to you.
yeah. So you can look at the applications, it pretty much is, you know, for Charles Pan Fried Chicken, I think they're adding 2 tables.
Yeah,
And I think for Frijolitos, it was 4 tables they're adding.
and there's no issues actually,
Right.
yeah.
Do you guys see yourselves as part of this dining out application process? Like, did you guys get any guidance on your end?
Nothing, no.
Okay.
My only thought on it, and I don't know how this works, is if it's another opportunity, not for us to like gum up the system, but use it as leverage. So like Charles Pan Fried Chicken, every time I go by there, there's tons of double park cars. And they're all their customers. So I don't want to say like, oh, you can't have your 2 tables until you get the parking under control, but. Is there an opportunity for us to say like, we'll approve this, but we just want to go on record as saying it's a problem and. We'd love for your help in addressing it. I don't know, you know what I mean?
We can put that in the comments.
Yeah, like I just don't know if there's an opportunity to do that. Like, do I think that the 2 tables are going to drastically impact the double park cars? No. But we have an opportunity where the business is coming and asking us for something and. We can kind of. Bring it to their
Yeah, but
attention.
what can they do as an establishment to?
Yeah, because it's ticketing. I mean, I think the same problem exists for, was it, Mama Sushi?
Well, I
They
feel
have
like,
borderline double parking and triple parking there at
Yeah,
times.
well, they do like a pseudo valet parking there, so.
yeah,
That's a different story.
there are some businesses that seem to not encourage it, I would say, but like. There are certain businesses where I see it a lot more
Yeah.
frequently. That happens to be one of them, even when I was looking on Google Street View, every single photo in their application has double park cars in front of it, so.
The one I want to say then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so we'll table this, let's discuss SLA applications, I believe, April sent out the link to the Google Drive folder. All of these applications happen to be in the 30th. Do you have any issues with any of them? Clove, Indian Restaurant, these are all renewals. Taqueria San Pedro. Was this the one you had an issue with?
Yeah, I had a question about this taqueria, because online it said it's open till 3. I didn't know if that was like, I just wanted to flag it. That's what was a problem.
Taqueria
Taqueria
San-
San Pedro at 366 East Broadway, between 151st and 152nd. But there's no issues with them. They probably don't even stay open that late. It's just listed on that time.
I couldn't tell you honestly what time they close, but we don't have any issues.
And no issues with skinnies?
Yeah, I got that.
Two skinnies?
Yeah, it's down here
Martina.
on 12th Avenue,
May I have permission to share my screen?
of course. If will it, if it'll.
So I guess before we get to skinnies, we'll talk about, like, so Frito is fine as well?
Yes.
Okay, then it's skinnies.
So I pulled every 311 request that's on file. For that general area, basically 12th and 133rd Street. And everything here in yellow are loud complaints.
Skinny is notorious,
Loud.
yeah, for loud.
That I will.
Yeah. So this is my point, that I'm glad you found the data. So not to knock you guys out, but we should be looking at that. And this is a great example. This is like a well-known noisy place.
And I think it's not just noisy, like even if you look like the illegal parking, they've got a lot, like they run a bootleg valet down there, like it's,
I think they've had some fights also.
yeah.
It's like it's just out of the way.
I mean, granted, this goes back for a long time, but everyone highlighted in yellow is a noise complaint, like. This is in our shared drive too, so if anybody wants to look at it.
So I think for the liquor license, you had a caveat that people can come or we can bring them and talk to them about it.
Right. So, I know we extended, the owners of Four Brothers, remember that was an issue we had, a couple months ago? We asked them to come to the meeting and discuss it.
That
So-
would be great to show it.
Right, this is different establishment, this is.
No, but I'm saying this would be great to show a business of it's not being a good neighbor.
Yep,
Has anybody reached out to?
no,
So we have a pretty good working relationship with the owner. He will come. And he will work with the community board. He's not gonna wanna be a bad neighbor. We've dealt with him often, so I would recommend that that's probably a good idea.
Okay.
I don't know how far back that data goes. I mean, listen, I'm not gonna.
It looks like there's data from
24.
25.
Yeah, I mean,
In here.
Yeah, this is sorted chronologically, it goes back to 2010.
Yeah.
But even like the underage drinking here was just back in August, so you know, I mean, one offense. If I hadn't known that this has been an ongoing problem, especially for the residents of what 333 or whatever, like it's a nightmare for them. If I hadn't known about that, I wouldn't have bothered to pull this data, but
Yeah, no, it's.
I mean, my understanding is that at least from the noise standpoint, the way that how loud the music
yes,
is.
and it's not.
And the way
the.
and yeah, and the it's the acoustic.
Yeah,
Down there.
It's the way the building is structured, the way that kind of vibrates off the buildings and everything. But I think Skinny, right, he would be very reasonable if you have a conversation.
So do you want to table Skinny, just exempt it?
Are we even allowed, like,
Yeah, we can ask them to come talk to us and definitely hold it.
So even for that package, and I think we've been discussing this for a minute now, there needs to be whatever that form letter is that's sent, so that we see the letter has gone out to those who filed, even for renewal. And I love the data, so I think this is something we should pull going forward.
Yeah, see, the thing with the data though, is that it doesn't. I mean, we know there's not that many establishments
Right.
at that area. If you try to pull the data for a different location,
Yeah.
it may not apply to that specific location.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great point, because a lot of them, even the reported address, you'll see, like, I didn't just pull it based on the address, because like 701 is like the plumbing store next door. obviously the loud music isn't coming from the plumbing store.
Yeah.
So it was a little tricky to kind of back into it. It was
But remember,
so much data.
we've also discussed that there should be some notice placed outside of the establishment so that the public has an opportunity to come forward into these meetings
Mhm.
and express their concerns or their comments.
I also know too, they've been closed the last 2 to 3 months for renovation, so I'm sure maybe part of.
Hence why this is a complete.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of the conversation
Oh,
that,
Skinny's has been closed?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
you know, part of the conversation should
Oh,
be
yeah.
improvements to sound repercussion systems.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not saying flat out, no, I just said, like, again, like, this is our window to speak up for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
people who've had a hard time, if we just like rubber stamp it, then go back to put people were.
No, absolutely, so we'll table it, and then, and then the last one with the renewals is La Casita, Amsterdam and 133rd. All good on that,
It's a little hole in the wall, right?
Mhm.
renewal, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's beer, they have a license for beer and cider.
Yeah, they just got it. Yeah. I'm supportive. I like the place.
So, do we have a motion to approve all the renewals except for Skinny's, which we will ask to come to the next community board meeting? Or the next committee?
Motion for
I
that.
think committee would be great, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
alright, no objections, no abstentions. Okay, so we'll move forward. I know La Flor de Broadway is on here as a new. When I looked at the application, it's dated May 2024.
Oh,
So I think it's a mistake.
Oh,
I
I
said
see.
that by mistake. So
okay,
as far as I know, there were no new applications.
got it, okay. Okay.
So we can strike that from the agenda. Do we want to talk more? I mean, we started on the SLA process. I agree. I think getting this data would be great. I wish it was easier to pull and identify specific locations. The other thing that has made things a little harder is on the SLA site itself. They used to have, within the GUI, you used to be able to put in an address and get all the violations for a particular establishment. It was called the Public Queries Database. They've kind of revamped things at New York State SLA. It was something that I had asked David Stoller about, and it just hasn't gone back to me about. They've made that site a little harder to use. And it's not displaying the same information that it used to.
It's not a little bit harder. I really thought it's messy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real,
I just, maybe I'm not using it the way it's supposed to be
I
used.
spent a lot of time on it and it's a mess.
I don't know how you guys, when you're evaluating a particular establishment, you guys have your own data. But
In terms of what? In terms of value?
just, I'm sure you're looking at 311 complaints. I'm sure you're going by just institutional knowledge, right?
Yeah, so we look at crime drivers, right? Like, is there violence coming out of there? Are we getting fights out of there? Is it a permitted establishment, licensed establishment versus unlicensed, right? If it's unlicensed, we have other options, avenues we can take in terms of enforcement. But when we look at something, if I were to use the term problematic, I would be looking at, is it driving crime? Is crime coming out of that place? Are they causing problem with parking, right? Things like that. What's really driving the complaints? Is it that place? Or is it just the nature of people congregating in that
Right.
area or something like that? It's hard because you don't want to label the establishment as being problematic if they're not really the problem. You know, if you have a business that's operating legitimately and they're serving alcohol, and now you have fights spilling out into the street, and we can put it back on that establishment as to say, well, they're over serving or they're serving underage, that's something different. But if people are just out and the establishment is abiding by the rules and they're doing what they have to do, and two people happen to come out to the street and have an argument, that's something different too. So it's kind of like a fine line. So we would look at like multiple incidences, what's happening, can we drive it back? Four Brothers is an example of that. We started doing operations there with Four Brothers now because we can definitively say that we've seen multiple acts of violence in the neighborhood, and it comes back to that particular establishment. And because of the way that they're abusing their license, right? Their license is for takeaway sale. they're letting people have on-site consumption. So now you have people drinking in the establishment, which is not legal, and now you have fights coming out into the street. So to me, Four Brothers is problematic. That's, I guess, I hope that kind of answers the question.
So how does that, as an example, I walked by, where's the cigar lounge located?
Harlem Cigar?
Yeah, so.
Yeah, was it 139?
Yeah, 149.
Yeah.
And then right next to it is like two restaurants, and then there were folks outside on the sidewalk drinking wine, and I was like, this is a mess. Because it's hard to figure out where they are really from. There's a bunch of restaurants side by side.
I also think some people just take their alcohol to their home and drink out there too. That's even, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've all drank that on the street before now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about with that fine line, right? You don't wanna. Too heavy handed, if a place is not causing a concern, problem. We keep a close eye on it, and if it becomes problematic, then we'll take enforcement action.
I think we're missing the local residents' opportunity to come forward. So I think that's why posting, giving the residents notice, allow them to come forward and tell their story.
I'm definitely not trying to create more work for us. And I don't know who would do it, but I have noticed in other community boards that they put on the link NYC, they put when their committee meetings are, it goes up in the rotation. So like, I don't think necessarily all the committees, but like, if we know we're gonna have a bunch of liquor license applications or
It's
something
a
like that,
great,
it just
it's a
says
great
that
idea.
this Thursday.
I thought that, I thought we did that across borough with each community board.
I've never seen ours.
Okay, let me.
Yeah, I know we brought it up to Yutha before, she was gonna look into it, but I don't know if we had any follow-up. But like, it's a great idea.
Cause the borough president can easily do that, they
Yeah.
always have stuff on LinkedIn, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not that I'm trying to make this like a huge meeting with the whole big thing, but
Why not, shoot, you
Yeah.
know? We're here, sir.
yeah, exactly. But I guess to my point, like if somebody had a concern, like all those people that live in 333, I'm sure they would love to know that we were having a debate about skinny.
About skips.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay, yeah, so we gotta get the template. There's we took it from another CV. And we kind of have to make it our own, it's a template to kind of fix to an establishment.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
I didn't think it looked great from my standpoint, but
I could probably, if you have something you can send to me.
sure, I'll
I
send
got nothing
it
but
to,
time tomorrow, I can.
I'll try to get Hakil to send it to everyone.
Yeah.
We'll see. Or if he sends it to April and I,
Yeah.
we'll send it out. Anything else regarding the SLA process? You talked about trying to obtain the data. I'm gonna try to follow up with David Stoller, who's from New York SLA. About how we can query the data a little better on their end, 6 emotions changes. Okay, we'll move on then. So do you want to talk about the Morningside Park Cafe?
Yeah, actually, yes, cause I'm confused about, so they're requesting a waiver.
So this is what happened. Morningside Park Cafe, I believe it's called, the actual establishment is Somerville Enterprises. There was a kiosk, or I shouldn't say kiosk, there was a
It's kiosk-ish.
kiosk-ish place in Morningside Park that they take care. Thank you. They came before the committee, so it's last year. And they told us they were, their plans to serve some food, have some beer and cider. Have, just food and beverages available for people to consume in the park on 113th Street for the most part, around that area. And they came to us seeking their liquor license, and, they met with us, they weren't gonna be open late, they were gonna close when the park closes. We didn't have any reservations, so we said yes to the liquor license. They had issues opening, and were delayed. And And then I guess that impacted their liquor license application. So now they have to restart the process, but they're seeking this waiver from us. So this is something we have to discuss as a committee, is like, should we give them the waiver?
How do I follow what the waiver is for though? What are we waiving?
It,
They have to give a 30-day notice before they
Oh,
to obtain the
Right.
liquor license.
Exactly.
To get approved.
to get approved, yeah,
So the
because,
waiver's for the 30-day.
yes, because what happened was from my understanding, they were ready to start
Yeah.
opening their establishment. But Parks pretty much told them, hey, you gotta stop. There's
Right.
things
There's
you gotta do.
plumbing and something issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that, yeah.
Plumbing and electrical issues.
Electrical issues, right?
Yeah, and then until that got straightened out, which I believe is the case. Now that they wanna actually entertain opening the establishment. SLA's telling them, oh, what, you were allowed to do it between this time and this time. You've kind of gone past that time period. Like you're over it, so you need this waiver. So
Right,
they're asking us to consider the waiver.
right.
Has anything changed? If they're planning to do it, how they plan to do it?
Not to my,
That's a good question. I don't think they have many options. It's probably what, beer, wine,
Yeah.
cider.
your one side.
Yeah, it's not a really big kiosk.
Yeah.
My concern again is just with the amplified music, like if you're familiar with the Ellington,
Mhm.
this is kind of similar to that, the upstairs portion of it. Right, where there's like a coffee area and they sell severe, it's like basically just a container, like a
Mhm.
shipping container. With the doors that pop up. And from what I've seen here, this footprint is gonna be pretty similar to that.
Mhm.
Especially because it's up there on that platform and not down on the lower level. I think we need to be really cognizant of the residential area,
Yeah.
and so like, I know we can't. Dictate what type of music that they play, but like a jazz trio is obviously very different than like a band or a DJ. And I mean, the 9 o'clock closing part, I think is gonna be helpful with that, but still, if that was like all day on your Saturday was you're hearing. DJ music, it might be a little bit.
So I do remember the owner of the establishment is a firefighter.
You want like grabbing mics or something like
Yeah,
that, so it's not.
I mean, maybe we can allow the waiver with like a contingency clause there that says, you know. That we want them to be mindful of the decibel level of music.
He's requesting amplification.
It's in the license, which again, if I was filling out this license, I would check yes to everything, cause like might as well ask, right? I don't wanna. Like I said, I don't wanna have like a jazz trio one day and then realize I didn't put it on my liquor license and now I'm in trouble, but like. I just think we have an opportunity to at least let these businesses know that it's on our radar and we would look for a partnership with that, as opposed to just saying yes and then going back 6 months from now saying. Seems we have a problem.
Yeah, they check, we'll have music on the premises, recorded DJ and live music, possibly jazz. Yeah.
You'd also need a permit from the Parks Department, but you're absolutely right. It's smack in front of residential buildings.
But when they came to Parks, we discussed this
Yeah.
about the live music and it wasn't a
Okay.
concern.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be pointed in the other direction.
Yes, Mark.
Would this forum have something like that? In reference to music relays or something?
This form does talk about music. Let me see.
Cause that would save a lot of hassle for us and then.
Because they didn't present about the live music here, but yeah, they did it at Parks.
Yeah, and then like it makes sense, right? If you picture the best case scenario, it's a great place to sit and listen to some chill music. If you picture the worst case scenario, it's a nightmare.
Okay.
I'd support the waiver, because at this point, we've kind of supported
Yeah.
the license.
Yeah.
Well,
Me too.
like-
And they would have been in business.
Be up and open, and I want it to be good, and I think it'll also be helpful too, because right now with all the construction and tarp over there, it's actually become. A drug spot,
Yeah.
and so they've asked the 26th precinct to do additional patrols over there. Because there's tarps and all the construction barricades, so as soon as that goes down and then it's an actual business, that's gonna help solve that problem.
This has a little thing on page 2.
Yeah.
Music, but it's not
So
like.
there's a specific one for the liquor license, I think I've shared it before, in the liquor license one, it says it.
Yeah, that was.
Cause this is more. We wanted to try to combine it so that we don't have to keep track of two different ones, but maybe.
No, I agree. I think we could do it with like, I think we could do it with like an addendum, like a community board addendum that has like the things that we really care about. And maybe the question is something like, if you decided to have live music, please describe the ways that you're going to minimize impact on the surrounding neighbors or something like that, you know, just sort of get them thinking in that mindset.
Mhm, mhm.
Or if you're having music at all, how would you negotiate with your neighbors if they complain
Right.
that the music is too loud?
That's a good point.
Or that could be 2 questions, right? Or a follow-up.
But I feel like that goes for sidewalk cafe
Right, roadway cafes, yeah.
and roadway cafes and liquor license. Like, I think that's basically how are you gonna be a good neighbor and put it in writing.
All right, so are we in agreement to go forward with the waiver?
Yes.
But then we will stipulate that they need to be cognizant of the noise and music level for the residential areas that are, they're pretty across from them, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Yeah,
And I hope this gets rid of the porta potties.
I believe.
me too. Yeah.
Well, they said the reason they had to do that was that the new finishes in the bathroom were getting destroyed by the water, so like hopefully those new bathrooms are good, but yeah, those porta potties packs to go.
Okay, so next we have the resolution on Broadway billiards and bar.
So good,
Yeah.
so good.
Well, what do you think? Like, do we?
No, I think you still pass it and maybe add a line in there saying like. Thanks to the continued work of the 30th precinct, so it doesn't seem like we're calling them out.
Yeah,
I think what he's suggesting is that their enforcement go forward and then this might become a moot issue,
yeah.
just let it play out.
You have a discussion.
No,
with-
it's been such an issue that I am like, hesitant to not push it forward because it's just been such, we cannot continue to talk about this freaking place, like,
Yeah.
something's gotta happen.
So I was at a meeting with Victor and Councilman Abreu, who came up there and I think we should push it forward.
I
Okay.
think we push it forward. He knows we're doing it, acknowledge the fact that their efforts, but also, like, you know how the NYPD is right now, like, they could change their objective tomorrow and say, don't do that anymore.
And then,
And then this tool, he can hold up this tool and say, like,
It's on the record.
it's on the record, yeah.
Go for it.
let's do it. I was trying to share my screen, but I guess I can't, but
I got kicked off the meeting.
Oh, no.
I just highlighted, there are 3 spots on the reso, so. There was a whereas about members of the community have repeatedly reported instances of. Et cetera, like loud music, loud bass, intense vibrations you added, but. Didn't know, were there disruptive patron behavior during late night hours, I think
Yeah,
so.
they congregate outside of the establishment, you know, talking, smoking.
Yeah, and then I think we also talked about double parking, was that an issue as well or not?
And the other big issue is to the rear. There's access apparently
Yeah, it's in
in the alley area.
alley area.
It echoes, that's the big issue.
Okay, nice,
So
okay.
if they leave the door
Right.
that goes to the rear open. Like the noise from the inside reverberates
Yeah,
out and through that alleyway.
Shaftway.
Yeah, through
that's the
shaftway.
complaint I've heard of the most.
Down the alley. Noise in the alleyway, okay, got that. I think, and then I'll add like you said, something about, and thank you to the 30th precinct for ongoing efforts and for your willingness to come directly to the community board.
Yeah,
Sure.
Okay. But do we feel good about the reso?
yeah, I think it's great.
All right,
Everyone okay with it?
unanimous consent? on the
Yeah.
reso?
Unanimous consent.
Okay.
Okay.
And I highlighted and it deemed necessary to close the establishment, 'cause I know we're always hesitant to close establishments, but I think we're all in agreement with that.
Super fun there, yeah.
Alright, cool.
Okay, old items to monitor. I mean, we have here the 145th Street, St. Nicholas Pathways. I haven't heard anything new from there about from Victor or from what's his name, Captain Rios from Transit was also helping out with that. Lyle, if you're still on, anything new on 145th Street? That the St. Nicholas Task Force, I believe you're on that too.
Nothing new, since at least our last walkthrough. It seems like the situation is pretty good now. But nothing new from what I can see. It's if anything does happen, please let me know. But
Okay.
it seems to be okay, at least for the time being, from what I understand.
I think it's improved.
It's
significantly
improved,
improved.
yeah. I mean, it still could be better, like, we could implement daylighting at that intersection. Especially on the southwest corner, where there's the entry and exit for the subway. There's not
Well,
a
the
lot.
southwest corner is a bus stop, so theoretically there shouldn't be anything in that area. It's essentially more or less naturally daylighted, but there
Right.
shouldn't be any traffic there at all.
Right, so we could maybe bulb out the bus stop, so that there is space on the sidewalk for people to get through. Cause if there's a lot of people waiting for the bus and then a lot of people coming out of the subway, there's conflict on the sidewalk.
But I think this is really referring to like the double parking situation.
Yeah, there's still double parking, I'm just saying like.
It's not the way it was before.
We could do, if you have if you have the bulb out of the bus stop. So that the bus stop extends onto what would be the curb lane, then you have a win-win situation where you have more space for pedestrians and nobody can double park there because it's a sidewalk.
Yeah, so. It's the
Yeah,
task
it's very-
force. Yeah, I think that's maybe a great conversation with the task force that's looking into that.
Yeah, I was gonna say one thing that we did mention, or that was mentioned while we were on site, was the back angle parking of the Transit District 3 vehicles on the southwest corner, just north of the charter school. So I don't know if they still do that anymore, but that was one of the bigger causes of concern, especially, considering that also narrows sidewalk space for pedestrians. But just to reiterate, there's no back and angle parking anywhere, at least authorized on any one of those four corners. Any back and angle parking that you would see, that would be done independent of any signage that we would put down. DOT would specify if angle parking is authorized by the signage. And that's not the case at this location. So I just wanted to remind everyone of that. If they ever go to that intersection and see that.
So, Lyle, is there any way we could get like bollards on the sidewalk? I've seen that in the Bronx. Where there used to be back angle parking onto the sidewalk and then they installed bollards on the sidewalk and then it's no longer an issue.
In that area, it might be tough. Ideally, I mean, the majority of that space, at least, pretty much, from the charter school to 145th, ideally is loading zone space, whether that would be with the bus stop or with the no standing sign just south of that. So ideally, it's supposed to be more, quick pickup and drop off of anything, of those vehicles. I mean, really, what it comes down to is enforcement. Enforcers have to enforce.
Yeah, but if enforcement's not being done, why don't we just install a piece of infrastructure?
So the air vent is where that is.
Yeah, there's space.
Yeah, so
There's
it's to the task force, it's
Yeah.
an enforcement issue. It's not a design enforcement, not designing to enforce.
Yeah, I don't think the bollards would hurt.
It wouldn't hurt, like,
There's just the air vent, the parking actually on the grading to the air vent. There's no way to install a bollard there.
there's space, there's space, there's space,
Yeah,
there's space.
yeah, alright, so I think that's a great, those task force, take a look at it.
Okay. I'll let Victor know.
Yeah.
The 125th Street one subway station, I know that the new MTA capital plan came out, I think, yesterday.
Mhm.
I didn't get a chance to look to see if it got included or not. I know they were, a lot of politicians, groups were trying to get it added to that capital plan. I don't know if anyone has been following.
I understood it would be added, I just didn't see the final.
I didn't see the final, that's why I'm,
Yeah.
yeah,
When I was at the Morningside Rights event, Senator Claire was there, and she said the funding is secured, we're just waiting on Columbia.
For what, more money, or to approve the construction?
And she didn't say, but she basically said it is in Columbia's lap. The funding is secured.
It's
Well, then
they
what's your-
they want it, everybody wants it,
They don't wanna,
Columbia wants it.
sure.
I
Have
think
you heard pushback?
I,
They would have included it in their initial.
yeah, I haven't heard whether they officially want it or not. I think they've been playing the diplomatic game of saying, yeah, we'll pay for the design phase one contracts, and then when it came up with phase two, it was like it was like crickets. Yeah.
They behave more and more like a corporation than an educational
Worse than a corporation.
institution, I mean, they have no regard for community, neighbors, like, they just work on their own in a bubble.
Yeah.
And up until 6 months ago, it was working out pretty well for him, but.
Yeah. It's different world,
Yeah.
different landscape. Okay, well,
But it's terrible that this human being is set out to ruin the planet. Is able to put him in the place in such a nasty way. Harvard is also dealing with that. I mean, all of the Ivy Leagues.
I will ask Victor if
Yeah,
there's
it's a good
been
one.
any movement. And I'll check if it was added to the new MTA capital plan. I'll let you guys know. Okay, the 116th Street bus project. I haven't heard, I haven't seen any updates on this at all.
They had a lot of meetings to go to though, so it may have taken them.
Yeah, that's true, but nothing new on that. I know we gave the feedback to La about the DOT neighborhood loading zones. Anything you wanna add to that, Lyle? I know that you said mostly it's on residential streets. Would be done Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I
Yeah, it's
know-
8 to, oh, sorry, 8 to 6, Monday through Friday for any loading zones, and then on Saturday and Sunday. And overnight, that parking will go back to the neighborhood for any loading zones, usually citywide.
Yeah. And I think Victor sent you some proposed areas.
Well, we got the comments back for the last locations that we had sent letters on. And I had for the conversations with Victor and Youth about it. So we should be okay now.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
The RVJ Auto Body Shop, I've got to follow up with Captain Rose because I guess he didn't want to talk about it publicly, but sounds like some investigation. MTA capital planner just haven't had a chance to look at it, so I'll have to do that. We talked about the double parking on 149th Street and actually Captain Rose. Hamilton Meat Market noise issues, Victor and I spoke with Councilman Brave. We tried to go talk to the establishment about the issues that they've been causing.
Where is Hamilton Meat?
Hamilton Meat Market is right on 136th Street. And
It's the whole corner, the
Yeah.
produce thing, okay.
Yeah, the issue there is they have speakers
Yeah, they
that
do.
are affixed to the outside of the
Right.
establishment, and the employees use it to communicate with one another, but it's a loudspeaker. So when they are communicating with one another, the sound is going across the street to the residential buildings, and it's causing a nuisance. We tried to talk to them, and they were just very dismissive. So we brought it up to Councilman O'Brady's office. They're gonna try to mediate it and see if they can bring down the volume issue. All right, new business,
But I put assigning minutes for our remaining meetings in 2025. I know in other committees, like they normally will, share the first time doing minutes. I don't know if you really enjoy doing it, if you love it, you can keep it, but if we could possibly assign for the remaining minutes we have. For folks to do them, I think they would be really helpful.
And you can also leverage the Zoom AI.
Yeah.
It sort of creates
Yeah.
decent minutes.
Yeah, the note taker, we could leverage.
So, we don't meet in July and August, right?
Right, so June is the last one.
Yeah,
So if anyone wants to volunteer to do it, and again, we can give you the note taker notes too. Typically, we've shared the format that we've used, and we can see it here. It's just, you would just follow the format and just put what you think is applicable.
and it doesn't have to be super extensive, like, I hate reading like, please, if you send me like 20 page minutes, I'm gonna lose on that, so. Like very quick.
April wants you to indicate the website, capitalize the letters.
Absolutely not. Any
Yeah.
volunteers for June?
We could always give it to the new person, whoever gets assigned.
Yeah. Can I decide at the meeting in June?
Well,
Sure.
we just have to make sure that someone is assigned, so
Yeah, yeah,
we don't surprise anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be your backup.
Okay,
And-
okay. Unless we wanna haze the newbie, yeah.
No, let's not do that.
I'm already getting paid for economic development.
We're making them feel included.
And then going forward, when we meet again in September, we'll
Yeah.
just assign.
So also a new business, I think, especially for UST. There should be some sort of monthly update on the bin installation, the Empire bins, and some feedback or comments from residents. Right now, it's like a hot ticket item.
Yeah, we should.
They
I don't know
look
why
great,
it's
they're not
only
using
taking
that.
us
So-
to these meetings.
So, because sanitation doesn't come to these meetings because they go to general.
Oh, that's
That's
true.
what I was told.
That's true. They do.
And they did come to our exec meeting, was it last
Yeah.
month?
But
And they gave us a quick update on the marine transfer station.
They did come?
They did come.
So nice.
And they told us that the marine transfer station pretty much is,
it's shut.
it's shot, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not, it's not safe. It's in a rundown situation. They quoted some astronomical figure to fix it. It's like something like $250 million.
It's a big number.
Yeah, it just seemed ridiculous.
So it's gonna officially like drop in or?
So it's just kind of sitting there. It's just sitting there, it's just gonna get worse. Some of the concern that, I guess Harlem Piers and Economic Development had were the actual, well, what do they call the dock?
The
pier,
pilings.
the pylons that are out, on the water outside of the marine transfer station, if they are in a good state, and.
So the question was whether or not a park could be built on overlaying the transfer station.
Right.
And it seems feasible.
That's actually not, sorry.
It seems feasible.
That's not what the question was, we were just trying to get to the bottom of it, and Miss Dunn is really enjoying telling us about what the plan was 10 years ago, which was the organization that said that they would build everything on the second floor as long as the pylons were reinforced, which we know that they are not. So I think it's a cross between her still having her mindset on what that plan that got approved and signed off on. And whether that company, like, she's like, they have the money, they'll build it tomorrow. It's like, they probably will not and probably won't. The
Yeah.
thing with the pylons as well is it becomes an environmental issue, and Little Island is a really good example of that. It's part of why it took so long for them to determine how they were gonna build on that, is that they can't actually take all the existing pylons there because ecological implications of it, which is why they built Little Island the way that they did. So,
And believe it or not, it was an oddity. The discussion was supposed to be around bins, but somebody had requested the bin guys come in and discuss this thing. So having said it, but I still think the community, with the activity going on with the bins, it might be great to get some sort of update that comes into this community.
Okay, we can ask, we can ask, Jonathan.
Anything like a written update, let's get something, yeah.
Yeah, even if he joins us virtually,
Yeah.
Yeah, my building is seriously overcrowded. I do not see that container packing all the garbage that the super has to throw out every night.
Mm.
So another thing is, I mean, this thing about, what is that called when in the intersections, you need to see the parking? Yeah, if you go to Convent Avenue and you're going down, even if you're not going fast, you don't see who's on that corner until you hit the last car, until you're right on the last car of the street. And they are streets that go down in a very steep way, so you can't really see or when somebody's stopping. And I know the parking thing is so important. I mean, people really love their parking. I don't have a problem with
Yeah, but you know, the daylighting thing is, it's a safety thing.
when are we gonna implement it?
I wish I had the answer to that, I don't know.
What?
I know it's something they're discussing on city council. It's something that they've been discussing.
Council did.
No, I wasn't passed.
Not yet.
What is the 145th Street busway resolution?
Ah,
Oh,
so,
wait, before we go on to that,
Yeah, but-
was there any, I know we had open streets this last weekend, any reviews of that, any complaints? Was it all fine?
There weren't many of them.
There weren't
Most of it, like the open street weekends don't start until May 17th, so it was just a car-free
Oh, okay, was it fine?
birthday, so it.
You mean this past weekend?
Yeah, it was fine, right?
Yeah,
Or-
it was.
Yeah, it was fine.
Okay.
Could have been more.
Yeah, there could have been more.
It could have been more.
Okay, 145th Street busway. Resolution. Oh, yeah, so.
Yeah, didn't it get passed?
Yeah, no, it's going
It passed
to
on it,
go
yeah.
for this month, right?
this month, yeah,
Right.
so it was the new stipulation by Victor is that any resolutions that are going to be considered for exec have to be given within 72 hours. I submitted it late, saying he didn't wanna take a look at it, so,
But it's going up this month.
yeah,
Right.
this month of November.
So there should, and we passed another one, right?
Both of them are.
Yes,
Okay,
both,
well,
yes. So,
City moving violation.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring it up. So this is something I've been monitoring with the 26 precincts, for a couple of years now, and then I added the 30th. And obviously I have some opinions about some things that look really out of whack, but I guess I just wanted to get the committee's thoughts on. I feel like the answer to a lot of the things that we spend a lot of time discussing is enforcement. And I won't say that shows a lack of enforcement, but definitely an opportunity for that.
Oh, so you've highlighted what you believe.
Those are the things that are like, I can't believe that.
So you're saying these are under enforced?
Yeah,
Under,
bike
Yeah.
lane and bus lane, are you serious, like?
Yeah. The obstructed plates and the improper missing plates, I mean, they've 16 for the whole year.
What does truck route mean?
So truck route, this one I feel very passionately about. Cause this is personal to me, is that there are very distinct truck routes in the city. And a truck, if you have more than 4 tires, basically, you are not allowed to go down a residential street unless you're picking up or dropping off on that block. And, my street, 111th, because of the apps, and GPS apps, it will tell the truck drivers to make a right-hand turn on 111th instead of 110th. And then lo and behold, there's somebody loading their handicapped person into their car, and so then the truck is laying on their truck horn because the shortcut that was gonna save them 15 seconds no longer saves them 15 seconds. 26 precinct knows about this, but just like, I can't believe, like. Zero enforcement of a truck on a street that it's not supposed to be on.
yeah,
is there, just curious, is there a way to add another column and like compare it to like 311 complaints?
Ooh, that'd be interesting. I might be able to do that.
I don't know how that would work. This is enforcement, but I would take a look at maybe the 24th precinct. I would look at another precinct.
Well, I mean, it's problematic citywide. I
Yeah.
pulled citywide,
But-
but I think as opposed to just telling the officers, we
Right,
want more enforcement.
right.
Like the 53-foot tractor trailer is is another one of my pet things because it literally has the numbers 5-3 written on the side. Those oversized trucks cause a lot of they're wear and tear on our roads, they're not designed, our streets are not designed for these trucks to be able to make those types of turns, like, they're very dangerous and they're very problematic, and the fact that we're not enforcing it at all, it just seems like low hanging fruit, but somebody else may not care about that, so I don't wanna speak for the whole committee and say like, we need to go to them and have them to take care of all these things. But I think it might be nice to say like, hey, we'd like to see the metrics go in the right direction on these 4 things
Well, I think
that
this
we
is,
all agree on.
this is a side meeting, I think, with Rose. And
Well-
go through the data and to find out like why, the question, you're asking enforcement, so he's the guy that has to respond.
Well, we have more than one place, Captain. I'm asking the committee. I wanted to have a discussion to say like, is this something you guys care about? I care about it.
I care about
If you guys tell me that you didn't care about it, then we can move along.
Especially bike lanes, people
Yeah.
are so abusive, man. You can go through any bike lane and people will park on purpose because they know nobody else
Nobody's
has the
enforcing.
cojones to do it, so they'll do it. And I think another thing is that I went to the precinct and these members of the community were talking about in the street, there are these companies that double park right on the street. They leave all their trucks right on the street. That cannot be cool in Harlem in 2025, you know what I mean? But beyond that, I think bus lanes and bike lanes must be protected. If you have all these GPS thingies, then you can do something about that, right?
But, and so what you're proposing is that, like they mentioned the crime statistics every month, that they also do the moving by.
Well, yeah, I would like moving violations or at least some mention of traffic when they do their report out. I think that's kind of why I made a point. Felipe, you weren't here when I asked, but I
Yeah.
said, like, we have a
Right.
homicide in this precinct.
Right.
And it just happened to be somebody who was on a bicycle,
Yeah.
killed by somebody who was in a car.
Right.
But the police precinct did not feel like, they don't report out on it the same way as if it was gun violence, right? Like,
Right.
and so I think just reiterating to them that traffic violence is violence and it's important to us, and I think like.
Yeah, if they report crime statistics, I don't see why they shouldn't be reporting this. I uphold,
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly.
We can.
But I guess my point is like, if there's something that we care about on here, I think it would be nice and I'm willing to do it, but like. Write a resolution saying we would like increased enforcement on these 4 things. But I don't wanna write a resolution if the committee doesn't agree, right? Like, I don't wanna speak for everybody.
So I guess one of the questions I would have is
I'm
this,
sorry.
I understand. For enforcing truck routes where you have these oversized trucks coming through, what's the plan to have it enforced? What would that look like?
Ticket, no?
Yeah,
What would that look like?
so.
It can't be just saying a ticket,
Right.
it's not an answer.
So one of the solutions I actually went to the 26th precinct with is right on 111th, which is where they do cut across. There's a Dwayne Reed. And they have directed patrol at that Dwayne Reed, the cars parked out there all day, every day. Those officers, you can see the entire street. So if you see a truck coming down the street and they're not stopping to make a pickup or delivery, there's no commercial businesses on that street, so they're probably not. When they're stopped at that light, they're already there, turn the lights on. And I'm a firm believer in that not everything needs to be a summons. I think if you stop and tell the truck drivers, like, hey, can I see your route plan? They're supposed to carry a route plan. They're supposed to have all of this stuff on them. I don't need, like, if they came to me and said we pulled over 20 truck drivers. And we talked to them, I wouldn't be upset that they're wearing the summonses. It's the fact that there's nothing, so right,
You see oversized trucks on Broadway, Amsterdam.
yeah,
So this
Riverside.
signage, like. right-
not Riverside.
they don't, so the.
Broadway and
That's
Amsterdam.
putting on signage now, that's one of the issues, is that I asked for signage saying no truck route. Or like when it is, so basically they don't have negative signage anymore. So the assumption is that all drivers know that unless it says that it's a truck route, they should know that it's, they're allowed to be there.
In my neighborhood, the sign is still there, they just moved it to the other side of the street, so if they're making, I guess if they're making a left, they can see it. So if you have an area where there's a lot of motor vehicle traffic and it's densely populated, there are other types of crimes and issues going on, what would enforcement look like?
I think issuing summonses, and it can be, there's three, if, as far as I know, there's three agencies that are allowed to issue summonses for trucks. Department of Transportation, NYPD. There's one more,
And MTA, right?
and MTA, because they come across the bridges. And they
So the
issue those to tons.
resolution.
And a lot of that can also be done with photography too, right?
Yeah.
Because
I was just going to.
the business names are on the, have to be on the side of the truck, they have to have their DOT thing. It's just another one of those things that it's open season and nobody pays attention to it because we issued exactly 0 summonses
So
for
what
last year.
would a resolution look like?
It's not a, I don't think it's a resolution, I think she's just saying, let's ask the 26th and the 30th precinct. When they give us numbers for, related to crime, that they also give us numbers relating to moving violations. And then ask them why they're not enforcing the categories that she has in orange.
Or whatever categories we agree.
Right, whatever we think.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go through the entire, list.
It's right, that it's like, we'd like to see some movement in a positive direction on these things.
Right.
There, once I was turning left on Riverside Drive. In, I think it was either 46 or 146 or 148. And this huge light flashed in front of me. And it took a picture and I stopped me on my tracks. So I kept going, right? That
Speed
scares the
camera.
Jesus out of you and it teaches you
Yeah.
not to do it.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, man, on 145th Street, MTA, the NYPD, they ticketed every single person of color who was going to that church on 145th. They changed their behavior. They know what they do. You see, they choose not to do the things that they be asked to do.
Church
You
above
know
the
what I mean?
supermarket.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, these things work.
The bus lane, I know that I saw, there was an article about the M4, they're gonna start ticketing anything in the bus lane on the M4 buses.
Yeah,
Use
but
it.
it's crazy to me that they have like a 6-month warning period. Before they're actually gonna start, but like, great, excellent,
It does work well.
yeah. I would love more automatic camera enforcement, but in the lack of that, and my understanding is that that is not included in this data because I pulled from the individual precinct data.
Mhm.
So this is the stuff that the cops are actually getting out their pad and writing a ticket for.
Yeah.
So my question would be, or my point is. Whether it's picking out categories 1, 2, 3, or 4, I think it would be very useful to sit down with Rose and sort of get an explanation as to why the numbers are perceived to be lower than expected. And then from that, push into the resolution, but sort of kind of come to understand what's taking place.
I mean, I can speak for at least the 26th precinct. The cops feel like writing traffic violations is beneath them.
Yeah, it's not a priority.
They don't wanna do it,
But that's,
but they also don't like the camera enforcement, so it's like, and I'm just speaking for, this is exactly from the officers, because I have this conversation with the 26th precinct a lot.
yeah, so but I think that, so this is terrific. So Rose addresses this and then this becomes a monthly set of
Monthly.
metrics. It cannot just continue to be flat like this, so something would have to give. I agree with you. I think this is a great way to handle it. Data is king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's basically, you gotta sort of put them on notice to say, hey, we're gonna look at the data.
Trust me, they both took a copy of this and they were talking about it.
No, and we brought it up before.
Yeah. Right, but this is the first time that I've had like the piece of paper and they were like making notes and like, that was definitely part of the strategy, like, I get it.
Follow up with them then.
Yeah, but I don't wanna speak just for myself, I want this to be something that like.
No, I think
we
we're,
agree on.
I mean, are we all in agreement?
Yes.
Is this something we should ask for?
They need to walk more. People need to walk.
Well, I agree
more.
with you, I mean,
It's
that's.
good help out.
Speak up.
My bro, if you walk the street or take a bike, the world is very different. If you're on your car, of course, you isolate yourself. You live in a bubble. But go face people, man.
So one
I
of the
did-
interesting ones. I heard
Unleash
that I
dogs, my brother. Unleash dogs. You walk every block on Broadway, and there's a massive dog walking at you. And I love dogs. I don't know if they like me. So I'm like, On Riverside, I just.
They're
wanna
only
look
more
at
than
it.
likely, they're just going to the bathroom.
Just want to make one point, because it's not super known, that spillback is one of the ones that I would like to draw attention to.
What is this?
So spillback is actually blocking the box, or blocking the crosswalk.
Yeah.
And so you can see that there's some really solid enforcement on that one, but again, like that's when the cops are some of the worst violators, they creep into the crosswalk, and it goes back to the windshield bias. And when the cops do it, it doesn't matter who does it, if a bus does it, a cop does it, the car next to them automatically does it, it's like your peripheral vision goes, and so you start, like, I find myself doing it too. So that's one of the ones that I would like to draw attention to, but I think, you're right, and it goes back to about them getting out of the cars. I was thinking about this when they were talking about the homeless people or the EDPs and the people stealing things, that like, if you're out in the community and out of your car, I know that the homeless folks that live in my neighborhood are not the ones that are stealing from the Dwayne Reed.
Yeah.
The ones that are stealing from the Dwayne Reed are running right down and getting on the subway right away.
Yeah.
But like, when you're out and interacting with people, that's when you know like, who's hostile, who's not,
Yeah.
who's chill, who's not, right?
That's why they need to be on patrol.
Yes. Okay, thank you for this digression.
So as a follow-up, will there be a meeting? I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I think we would just reach out to Rose and just ask him about the data and then ask him about reporting on moving violation.
But we have 2 police precincts. I mean, I know I talked about Tavares, but I think it would come like,
We should, I'd like to just give the courtesy to Victor to just
Yeah.
make sure he's aware of it, and then, but we would ask both Tavares and Rose.
Try to model with one and then see how that
Yeah.
works.
But I think we probably should do it, like, we should get feedback as soon as possible, right? Because if there's a possibility we need to write a resolution, we have to do it by June,
Yeah.
right,
the June meeting.
So his ears are already perked up for this, so he should be expecting
Yeah,
something.
he's doing your stuff.
Okay, so we'll ask, Victor.
Mhm.
where was it? And we'll follow up.
Yeah, I just wanna give him the courtesy that we're gonna ask him this, like, are you okay with that? I don't think he's gonna say no.
Yeah.
yeah, and again, like, I would love to give like a few areas of focus, and not like, make all this better in the next 2 months,
Right.
you know?
Did you send it via email?
I can, yeah, it's in,
Oh,
I
it's
don't
in
know if
the
you're in the share drop, I have a share drop, cause I don't know if I can put stuff in yours, but if not, I can put it in there. And I can put the 301 stuff in there as well.
Oh, yeah, can you,
It's all
you
Google
put it in miscellaneous docs?
Yeah, perfect,
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect,
Is there anything else we need to discuss?
And then the last item, I think, is the SLA. So I think it would be great to have some type of workflow on the SLA process with some description so that when new members come in, it should be something that's easily disseminated, and this is how it's gonna work, and so forth and so on. What the notice looks like, that's gonna get posted.
I can create a flow diagram and share it out.
Brilliant.
And then the template, I'm gonna ask Akil to send it to me so I can show it to you
Yeah.
guys.
I think Ford does a great job. I sit through a lot of this stuff. 12 is okay, but I think Ford does a really good job. They process the most of the license
Oh, yeah.
requests.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's those.
And they're gangster. You don't participate, they essentially tell you, we're gonna say, no, you don't want that.
But I think,
And almost every meeting I've been to, and I've been to a bunch of them, attorneys represent businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
See,
sure,
yeah.
it's frightening.
yeah.
They learn their lesson, let your attorney speak.
Okay. All right, anything else?
So even if you do it, and you do it in whatever you wanna use docs or. What do you wanna do the flow, and you can use symbols, right?
Yeah, I would do it, I'd probably do it in like.
You're volunteering to do it.
I forgot what it's called in Google.
Oh, the presentation one, the PowerPoint one.
Slides.
Yeah, slides.
Slides,
Yeah,
yeah.
slides would be cool also, yeah.
So you just want you said for specifically, this is for kids and.
Yeah, I would do a flow diagram for, this is how a new SLA, this is the process, from the beginning to the end in terms of what the applicant has to do, what our role is, and then when it goes to SLA, right?
And,
And then the same thing for renewals.
right, and maybe roles and responsibility, like who's getting the letter over to the applicant so they can post it, who verifies it, because the renewal is pretty similar to a new applicant. There's gonna be a loop component that's
Yeah.
about the same. So, okay, brilliant.
Yeah, I can do that.
And if you want to kick it off, just let me know, I can. I am focus project person.
All right, anything else before? Oh, I forgot, one thing we forgot to do. We forgot to adopt the minutes.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
I am the agenda, we are into it.
No, we did adopt the
Okay.
agenda, we just didn't adopt the minutes, so,
Okay.
just for, I guess, starting.
Motion to adopt.
Ed Kovalev, motion to adopt.
Thank you, Ted. Okay, so we adopted the minutes, all right, now we can adjourn, can I get a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
And needs to flip himself sideways and go to bed.
We are adjourning at 8:31 p.m. Thank you, everyone, get home safe.
Thank you.
April, are your legs working?
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Yeah, we can see. There's an electric bike over here, no, I might have to do this, friend. Well, actually, it's not that cold today, so I